and we have a transversal that cuts through them, we're going to make some angle relationships. So let's talk about two angle relationships that you should already know. Okay, two angle relationships that you should already know. Vertical and linear pair. So we learned these in chapter 1. Vertical angles and linear pair. So if you look up there, Elliot, tell me one set of vertical angles. Any two angles up there that are vertical.
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay. Emma, tell me two more that are vertical. 5 and 8. Okay. And what do we know about vertical angles that we learned in chapter 1?
They're always equal.
They're across from each other and they're always equal. No matter what, they're always equal.
Double team.
Okay? Now, a linear pair are two angles that do what?
Make a
Equal 180.
Are supplementary.
Make a 180.
They make a line. They are adjacent to one another. Okay? So, Henry, up there on that board, give me a linear pair. Any linear pair up there?
5 and 7.
5 and 7. Okay, Johnny, give me another
1 and 2.
1 and 2. So any two angles that form a line, they are a linear pair, and they are always supplementary no matter what. Okay? All right, there are 4 other types that I believe you have heard before, but I'm going to pretend that you haven't because I have no idea where some of you are in 7th grade. I don't know if you have this way. So let's talk about these 4 other types, and we're going to get these on notes in just a minute, but I want you to kind of look up here first. So one of these is going to be alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. So what does alternate mean? Like when I look up here, okay, different, right? Not the same, but different. And interior means what?
Inside.
Inside. So if I'm looking at this picture and I wanted to find alternate interior angles, give me an example.
5 and 4.
5 and 4.
Dang.
5 and 4 are alternate because they're on opposite sides of the transversal,
And they're inside.
but they're inside right here. Now, if lines are parallel, then alternate interior angles are going to be congruent, but they're not always congruent. If these lines are not parallel, we can still name them alternate interior. We just can't say that they're congruent. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Okay, we also have alternate exterior. So alternate exterior, they're still going to be opposite, but they're going to be where?
Outside.
On the outside of those two lines. Like what? 1 and 8, 2 and 7. So alternate exterior angles. Why are y'all being weird? So alternate exterior angles are going to be outside the two lines, but they're going to be on opposite sides of the transversal. And if those lines are parallel, alternate exterior angles are going to be congruent. All right, the next one we're going to have is corresponding. What does corresponding mean? Like not in math, but just in general, what does corresponding mean? Together, the same. So they correspond with one another. So if I'm on the football team and Billy plays quarterback on our team and Joe Smith plays quarterback on J.A.'s team, they are corresponding because they're in the same spot on different teams. So if I take these top 4 angles and I move them down and set them on top of these bottom 4 angles, whatever's on top of each other are corresponding. They're in the same spot. So what would an angle be? What would angle 1 be corresponding with?
5.
5. What about angle 4?
8.
8. And if those lines are parallel, corresponding angles are going to be congruent. All right, the last one we're going to talk about actually has 2 names. You really just need to know both. depending on the book or the worksheet or the test or whatever you're looking at, they'll have different names. I don't know why he gets two names. I guess Mr. Geometry and Mrs. Geometry couldn't decide, and they just said, we'll just do both. So your last type is going to be same side interior. But another name for that is consecutive interior. So same side interior or consecutive interior, you need to know both names. If they're interior, they have to be between the two lines, but same side means they're on the same side of the transversal. Like what?
3 and 4.
3 and 5. Okay, or 4 and 6. Now, this is easy, cheesy, lemon squeezy, but what happens when we add another line? And we now have 9, 10, 11, 12.
Bad business.
So if I say to you, what kind of angles are 3 and 11? 3 and corresponding. Because if I picked this up and I put it on top of here, 3 and 11 would be in the same spot. And look at 3 and 11. One is interior, one is exterior. Okay? All right. 3 and 11 would be corresponding. Okay, what about 4 and 9? 4 and 9. Alternate interior. Because they're inside. Do these even matter? Do these 4 even matter with 4 and 9?
No.
So don't even look at them. So 4 and 9 are on opposite sides, but they're on the inside of these two lines. Okay, what about, let's go with 5 and 12. Woo, we got lots of answers. All right, let's look at 5 and 12. Let's get rid of vertical because they can't be vertical. Alternate exterior. Because when I'm looking at 5 and 12, these top ones don't even matter. So there is no, 5 can't be inside because the top ones don't matter. 5 and 12 would be alternate exterior. Okay? All right, so what you're going to do first, I'm going to give you this sheet. I'll pull it up on the board in a minute. Is we're going to look at these numbers and we're going to decide what kind of angles they are. We're going to put them in categories. So when you get this, don't do the name of the transversal yet. We'll do that in a minute. But look for corresponding angles. There are more than 5 options for each one. I'm just asking you to find 5 sets. Okay? All right, while I'm pulling this up, you're just looking at that picture at the top, and you're finding some sets of corresponding alternate interior. There should be more than 5 of each one. So I can't make this any bigger. I don't know why it won't flip and get bigger. But remember that a transversal is the line that intersects 2 other lines, 2 or more other lines. So at the top where it says name that transversal, it says 1 and 12. So when you're looking at angle 1 and angle 12, what is the transversal that those two are on? L. What about 3 and 6? What transversal?
J.
J. 7 and 15.
Yeah.
M. And then 12 and 14.
Okay.
Okay. So you're looking at that transversal when I'm asking you about those angles. So if I'm looking for corresponding angles, if you will just pick a transversal, okay, I'm going to pick transversal M. So if I'm looking at transversal M, this over here is irrelevant. I don't need it. So if I'm looking at M, give me a set of corresponding angles. 15 and 7. All right, give me another set from anywhere.
8 and 16.
8 and 16. 11 and 15. These are not your only options.
10 and 3.
10 and
3 and 11.
11 and 3?
3 and 11 will work.
6 and 14.
1 and 9.
What goes with 10? Give me one with 10.
Two.
1.
2 and 10,
Two.
Billy. See, because if you pick that up right there and you put it down here, then it would be at the same spot. But these lines are not parallel, so these are not going to be equal. Okay? But we still call them corresponding. They can be named that, and if the lines are parallel, then they are congruent. Okay, so I want to pick alternate interior, but I want to use transversal J. So if you look at transversal J up here, this down here is irrelevant. So give me a set of alternate interior on transversal J.
3 and 6.
3 and 6. Okay? You got another one?
No, not 3 and 6.
But it is.
I was at 3 and 6.
Yes, you may use the restroom. But be speedy.
Is there alternate interior?
If I'm looking at here, I'm only looking at J, so these are irrelevant. No. We're looking at this. It's on the inside of these two lines. 3 and 6, opposite sides of the transversal, inside these two lines.
So they don't have to be equal.
No, not if the lines are not parallel. Okay, give me another set.
2 and 11.
2 and 11. I heard another one, I heard 2 and 11, but then I heard something else. 4 and 5.
13 and 8.
13 and 8.
6 and 15. 11 and 14.
14.
11 and 14. 6 and 8 or not. If somebody said 6 and 8.
6 and 15.
14 and 7.
6 and 15 are fine. 14 and 7 are exterior.
4 and 9.
What one of those?
9 and 8.
4 and 9.
Crap.
9 and 8 are not.
4 and 9. 4 and 9.
4 and 9, yes.
You got any more pencils? No, you don't have pencil sharpeners, so this is gonna have to work.
Well, I have a sharpened pencil right here.
Ooh.
Oh, awesome. So we're
Just
gonna
cover anything to show someone. Okay, great. All right, alternate exterior. So let's look at transversal L. Only transversal L for the first set. So over here is irrelevant. So give me a set of alternate exterior that are on transversal L.
3 and 10.
3 and 10.
12.
12 and what? 12 and 1.
1 and 8.
1 and 8.
16 and 5.
16 and 5.
14 and 7.
14 and
7.
7. Okay, so I told you have two names for consecutive. Consecutive same side interior angles. Okay, so I'm going to only look at transversal M. Okay, transversal M. Give me a set of same side interior on transversal M.
8 and 15.
8 and 15, 6 and 13.
How about 14 and 12?
How about 14 and 12? Love it.
No, that's not interior, is it? Yeah,
Yes, it is.
About 4 and 13.
4
No.
and 13 now.
11 and
4 and 11. 11 and 13.
4 and 11.
4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Oh wait, 3 and 5.
11 and 13.
3 and 5, 11 and
9 and
13, 9 and 2. Guys, you can't do anything like, I can't say 1 and 15. They're not on the same transversal. So they have nothing to do with one another. 1 and 15 would be a non-example, meaning they have nothing to do with one another. There's nothing that has a relationship. Okay, we didn't write down consecutive same side exterior. However, if you know what same side interior is, you should know what same side exterior is. So let's just go with transversal L. Okay, so I'm looking at L right here. Give me one set of same side exterior.
3 and 12.
3 and 12.
14 and 5.
10 and 1.
14 and 5. Charlie, what'd you say?
10 and 1.
Why is this not working? 10 and 1, yes.
9 and 15.
9 and 15, yes. Give me one more.
10 and 16.
10 and 16. Give me another non-example, meaning two angles that have nothing to do with one another.
3 and 13.
3 and 13.
1 and 6. I mean 11 and 6.
12 and 7.
12 and 7. They're not on the same transversal. They have nothing to do with one another. So they're not vertical, they're not a linear pair, they're nothing. They have nothing to do with one another. So the first type is we need to identify the angles. You know, what angle is this? What angle is that? Is this alternate interior, alternate exterior? But then, if lines are parallel, then these angles have a relationship with one another. So the back of this is just identifying. You can do it later. It is not for homework. It is just for you to practice identifying. If you like to color, more power to you. You're welcome to color it. If you don't want to color, you can just write what they are in the box. But this is just for you to practice. So this is not homework. Okay? Now, if you want to leave that out while we do this next part, we're going to write a few notes. And when you get this, you should be able to fill in the first blank because we've just talked about it. How many more do y'all need?
I've got 1.
Me.
Just one?
Would you say that? Yeah, it doesn't have 3.
That is everybody except Sarah. So give Allie and Emma
I
one.
didn't have it.
Okay, when you get your notes, you should be able to fill in the very first blank. No, the very first blank. Intersect. A transversal is a line that intersects.
What is going
I don't know. I'm trying to use the internet option and I don't like it. I'm not using it again. A transversal is a line that intersects at least two other lines in the same plane. A transversal is a line that intersects.
We're still recording?
Yes.
Good.
We're recording, but we're not writing.
It's not good.
Oh, we are writing. It's just in the wrong spot. A transversal is a line that intersects at least two other lines in the same plane. So parallel lines will never.
Touch.
Okay, give me a
Cross each other's path.
Intersect.
intersect,
Yes, sir.
and they have the same slope along their entire length. And they're represented by that symbol. Now, that symbol, when it's typed, is most of the time slanted, but when I write it, it may just look like an L, like this, like two L's, like a 11. Supplementary angles are a pair of angles that
Add up to 180.
add up to 180.
Love that.
Now, for this chapter, when we're looking at these types of angles, you only have two options. Congruent, supplementary. That's it. If these lines are parallel, then they're either going to be supplementary or congruent. All right, so vertical and linear pair, you already know. I don't even think you need a definition. But when you look at this picture at the top, give me two vertical angles, any two.
1 and 4.
1 and 4.
3 and 2.
And are vertical angles congruent or supplementary?
Congruent.
Congruent. They're always congruent, no matter if the lines are parallel or not. Now, they could be supplementary if they're both 90, but we're trying to determine in every single case, are they congruent or supplementary, okay? M and N don't have to be parallel for 1 and 4 to be congruent, because if N's not there, 1 and 4 are still there. Okay? Linear pair. Give me an example at the top.
1 and 2.
2 and 4. 1 and 2. Okay? Are linear pair always congruent or always supplementary? Supplementary. Always. Always. Now these last four are going to have an if. They have a condition on them. So the next one says corresponding. Corresponding angles are angles in the same spot or position. I'm sorry this is small. I won't use this one again. I'll use the other one.
That's alright, I can see it.
Okay, good. I just don't know why it won't get any bigger. Angles in the same spot or in the same position. So using the picture at the top, give me just one set of corresponding.
1 and 5.
1 and 5.
Wait,
Now-
can 1 and no, never mind. No.
When lines are parallel, do you think that corresponding angles, by looking at that picture, are congruent or supplementary?
Congruent.
Because they're in the same spot, they have to be congruent. But you need to write if, don't write always, if lines are parallel. They're congruent if lines are parallel. So vertical and linear pair, they're always. But corresponding are if lines are parallel. Okay, alternate exterior. angles blank the two lines and on blank sides of the transversal.
There across two lines.
Are they inside or outside?
Outside.
They're outside the two lines
They're on either side of the transversal.
and on, let's say opposite, and on opposite sides of the transversal. They're on the outside of the two lines and they are opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, like what?
1/8.
1 and 8. Now, if you look at the picture at the top, this one's pretty much drawn to scale-ish. Some of those are obtuse and some of those are acute. So, when you look at 1 and 8, are they going to be congruent or supplementary?
Congruent.
Congruent always?
No.
No. They're congruent if lines are parallel. So alternate exterior, they are on the outside of the two lines and they are opposite sides of the transversal and they are congruent if lines are parallel. Okay, alternate interior has almost the same definition, but instead it's going to say the angles are inside the two lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. Alternate interior angles are inside the two lines and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, give me a set at the top.
3 and 6.
3 and 6. And when you look at those, if lines are parallel, what do you think? Supplementary or congruent?
Supplementary.
Supplementary?
Congruent.
Congruent. 3 and 6.
Because one's gonna be obtuse and one's.
Correct.
No, yeah, no.
Look at 3 and 6.
Okay, maybe.
They're not complementary.
Congruent, baby.
Oh, yeah.
If lines are parallel. So alternate interior angles are angles inside the two lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. And they're going to be congruent if lines are parallel. Okay, last one. What was another name for that?
Same side.
Same side interior. You want to write that out to the sides, you can. Okay? Are they going to be inside or outside?
It's on inside.
So angles inside the two lines and on the same side of the transversal.
3 and 5.
So 3 and 5. Now my only options are congruent or supplementary. So when you look at 3 and 5, what do you think?
Complementary.
Why do you keep saying complementary, Precious?
That's what I think. Supplementary.
Supplementary, they're going to equal 180. So same side interior angles are supplementary if what?
Lines are parallel.
Lines are parallel. Okay, so what I would like for you to do tonight, so the back of this, they're all parallel. Everything's parallel back here.
Up there.
I want you to try to figure out as much of the back as you can. We're going to pick up here next time. This back, this is just for you. So you're just doing this if you want to. But this back, I need you to try it. I need you to start it. Okay? So do as much of the back of this as you can. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.